You've been trying to control every outcome because you think your life will fall apart without your tight grip. But what if the opposite is true? What if life becomes clearer, easier, and more powerful the moment you stop controlling it? There is a hidden shift that begins the second you surrender. A shift that turns chaos into direction, struggle into alignment, confusion into clarity. Today, you will understand why your next breakthrough won't come from forcing life, but from finally trusting it. 1. The universe works best when you step out of its way. Life moves with a natural rhythm, a flow that is constantly guiding you even when you don't notice it. Most of your pain begins when you try to fight that rhythm. You push for things that are not ready. You chase people who are not meant to stay. You hold on to situations that have already expired, and you try to control outcomes that were never in your hands to begin with. You force timing, you pressure yourself to make things happen faster, and you demand clarity before the moment is right. Every time you push against what life is naturally trying to shift, you feel stress, anger, confusion, and emotional heaviness because you are swimming against the current instead of moving with it. The universe operates quietly, not through loud signs, but through subtle signals. It whispers through your intuition, the soft voice inside you that tells you something isn't right, even when your mind tries to argue. It nudges you through discomfort, making certain situations harder so you finally walk away from them. It redirects you through unexpected changes, a job loss, a relationship ending, a sudden delay, things that feel painful at first but later reveal their hidden purpose. Sometimes the universe slows everything down because something better is still forming behind the scenes. Sometimes it closes a door because you were about to enter the wrong one. Sometimes it removes people you thought you needed because they were blocking the blessings meant for you. When you stop resisting and allow life to unfold in its own timing, everything begins to make sense. You start to see that not every ending was a punishment. Some endings were protection. You realize that delays often saved you from settling for something too small. You understand that rejection was actually redirection, and slowly you begin to trust the process. You start noticing that when one thing falls away, something better always comes to replace it. You see how your life becomes lighter, clearer, and more aligned when you stop forcing everything to match your expectations. Letting life flow doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the illusion of control. It means trusting that the universe is working with you, not against you. It means understanding that there is a bigger plan operating beyond your immediate vision. When you loosen your grip, you create space for new blessings to enter. When you stop clinging to what is slipping away, you open the door for what is truly meant for you. When you step out of the universe's way, life finally begins to carry you instead of you carrying everything alone. The universe has always been guiding you, gently, patiently, intelligently. You just needed to stop fighting the flow long enough to feel it. 2. When you release control, you remove fear. Trying to control everything in your life does not come from confidence or strength. It comes from fear. Fear of losing what you care about. Fear of repeating past mistakes. Fear of choosing the wrong path. Fear of being hurt again. Fear of uncertainty. Fear that if you loosen your grip even a little, everything will fall apart. This fear quietly shapes your decisions, your habits, your relationships, and even your dreams. It makes you tense, anxious, defensive, and constantly worried about what might go wrong. It forces you to live in survival mode, even when there is nothing to survive. But the truth is simple. The more afraid you are, the more control you try to hold. And the more control you try to hold, the more fear you create. It becomes a cycle that drains your mental energy and steals your peace. You hold on to people who hurt you because you're afraid of being alone. You stay in situations that do not grow you because you're afraid of the unknown. You cling to old dreams because you're afraid the new ones might not work out. You push yourself to fix things that are not your responsibility because you're afraid of being judged or rejected. Fear keeps your life small, predictable, and exhausting. But something powerful happens the moment you release control. Fear loses its power over you. When you stop forcing outcomes, your nervous system relaxes. The tension you carry in your chest and shoulders begins to melt. Your mind stops racing. Your breathing becomes deeper. You finally give yourself permission to breathe, to rest, to trust. You stop operating from panic and start operating from clarity. Decisions become easier because they come from intuition instead of fear. You no longer feel the need to chase, to cling, or to convince anyone of your worth. You begin to understand that what is meant for you will not require fear to keep it. Releasing control does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting fear be the driver of your life. When you release, you create space inside your mind. Space for calm thoughts, honest self-reflection, and deeper understanding. You become more aware of what feels right and what feels forced. You start noticing signs, opportunities, and directions you were too anxious to see before. You move through life with a softer, more grounded presence because you are no longer fighting against every possibility. The moment fear steps back, your intuition steps forward. You start making choices because they feel aligned, not because you are scared of alternatives. You attract healthier relationships because you no longer cling out of desperation. You see possibilities where you once saw danger. You recognize lessons where you once saw threats. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself. Something fear had been blocking for years. Fear cannot survive in a mind that trusts. And trust is born the moment you let go of the need to control every detail of your life. 3. Surrender is not weakness, it ups higher intelligence. Many people misunderstand the word surrender. They hear it and immediately think it means giving up, backing down, or accepting defeat. They think surrender means abandoning your goals, letting people walk over you, or sitting quietly while life happens to you. But this misunderstanding is exactly why so many people suffer unnecessarily. True surrender is not weakness. It is one of the highest forms of intelligence a person can develop. It is the moment you recognize that your mind, no matter how smart or experienced, cannot see the entire picture of your life the way the universe can. Surrender means understanding that everything has a season, a rhythm, and a purpose, and trying to force something outside its timing only creates frustration and pain. It means recognizing that no matter how tightly you try to control a situation, life will always move according to its own design. You can work hard, you can show up, you can try your best, but the final outcome depends on countless forces beyond your control. Surrender is the wisdom to stop fighting those forces and start working with them. When you surrender, you are not abandoning your goals. You are releasing the pressure that blocks you from receiving clarity. You are not quitting. You are conserving your energy so you can make aligned choices instead of desperate ones. You are not being passive. You are becoming selective about when to act and when to let life unfold naturally. This balance between effort and trust is where true strength lives. Surrender also teaches you humility, not the kind that belittles you, but the kind that grounds you. It reminds you that you do not control every detail of existence, and you do not need to. When you surrender, you shift from a mindset of force to a mindset of flow. You stop obsessing over outcomes and start paying attention to the signs, signals, and inner guidance that the universe constantly sends you. The moment you let go, you create room for insight, creativity, and wisdom to rise naturally within you. And this is where the hidden magic of surrender begins. The moment you loosen your grip, situations that felt stuck begin to move. Conversations that were heavy suddenly become clear. Opportunities you never noticed start appearing. People who resonate with your true energy enter your life effortlessly. Solutions that once felt impossible suddenly fall into place. This is not coincidence. It is the universe responding to your alignment. It is the flow that was always available, but blocked by your need to control everything. Surrender also transforms your emotional world. You stop reacting from fear, scarcity, and insecurity. Instead, you respond from understanding, patience, and inner strength. You no longer rush decisions because you feel pressured. You no longer chase people who are walking away. You no longer attach your worth to things you cannot predict. You begin to trust the timing of your life, even when the path is unclear. You start to understand that delays are not denials. They are redirections. You realize that loss is not failure, it is clearing. You see that closure is not rejection, it is protection. Surrender is not passive, it is powerful. It is the moment you rise above the noise of fear and step into the clarity of intuition. It is the moment you stop fighting the universe and start aligning with it. And alignment creates results that force never can. When you surrender, you become guided instead of overwhelmed. You become intuitive instead of anxious. You become grounded instead of reactive. You become aligned instead of lost. Surrender is not the moment you give up control. It is the moment you understand you never needed it. 4. Life speaks in signs, but you only hear them when you stop forcing. Life is always communicating with you, but most people never hear it because their minds are too noisy, too stressed, or too focused on forcing an outcome that isn't aligned with their path. The universe sends guidance in small, gentle ways, not through loud warnings or dramatic signals. It speaks through your intuition, through repeating patterns, through sudden discomfort, through unexpected coincidences, and through quiet moments when something simply feels right or feels wrong without any logical explanation. But when your mind is busy trying to push life in a direction it doesn't want to go, you become blind to these signs. You overlook the red flags, ignore your inner voice, and rush past the messages that were meant to save you from unnecessary pain. For example, when you force a relationship that has already drained you, the universe shows you signs through emotional heaviness, constant arguments, and moments where you feel disconnected even when you're together. But instead of listening, you try harder. You cling tighter. You convince yourself that if you just fix one more thing, everything will fall into place. Yet the signs were there the whole time, showing you that this connection was already misaligned with your growth. You didn't miss the signs, you simply refused to stop forcing long enough to notice them. Or consider the moments when life delays something you desperately want, a job, a decision, a project, an outcome. You get frustrated, impatient, and anxious. You feel like the universe is blocking you. But what if that delay was a form of protection? What if the timing you were insisting on would have led to stress, failure, or missed opportunities? What if the universe was aligning something better, but you were too focused on your plan to see the bigger picture? When you stop forcing, you begin to notice how the timing of certain events in your life was never accidental. It was strategic. It was intelligent. It was purposeful. Life also speaks through intuition, that inner knowing that comes before logic. This intuition is not random. It's your subconscious mind and the universe working together to guide you toward what is aligned and warn you about what is not. But intuition is quiet. It whispers, it nudges, it suggests. And if your mind is flooded with fear, rushing, or pressure, you won't hear it. You'll override your instincts and choose the path that looks right logically but feels wrong emotionally. And afterward, when things fall apart, you'll realize the universe tried to warn you. You were just too busy holding on to your own plan to listen. The most powerful signs often come in moments of stillness, a thought that brings peace, an idea that sparks excitement, a feeling that something is off even when everything looks fine, or a sudden shift in your energy around certain people or places. These signs are not random. They're messages that help you navigate your life more intelligently, but you only hear them when you stop forcing. Forcing life creates noise. Allowing life creates clarity. There are also moments when you experience repeating patterns, certain types of people, situations or lessons appearing again and again. This is one of the universe's clearest communication methods. When a lesson comes back repeatedly, it means you haven't understood its meaning yet. Forcing your way through these patterns without reflection only makes them louder and more painful. But when you pause and pay attention, you begin to see the deeper message behind the repetition. You realize life isn't punishing you, it's teaching you. Synchronicities, those strange coincidences that feel too meaningful to ignore, also begin to appear more often when you stop forcing. A conversation that answers a question you were struggling with. A message that appears at the exact moment you needed clarity. A person who enters your life unexpectedly right when you're ready for change. These are not accidents. These are alignments, the universe arranging things in ways you cannot predict through sheer logic. But again, you only notice these alignments when your mind is open and receptive. When you stop gripping everything so tightly, your awareness expands. You start recognizing the gentle choreography of life. You notice how certain things arrive when you're ready, not when you demand them. You notice how the right people stay effortlessly, while the wrong ones fall away without a fight. You notice how peace appears when you release what drains you. You notice how the answers you look for outside begin rising from within. When you stop forcing, you shift from trying to control life to allowing life to guide you. You begin to understand that signs are everywhere, in your emotions, in your experiences, in your relationships, in your timing, in your intuition. You just need to quiet the noise, soften your grip, and trust that life is trying to lead you toward a path with more peace, more meaning, more alignment, and more truth. You don't hear the universe when you force life. You hear it when you allow. 5. The universe replaces what you release with something better. One of the most painful truths in life is that you cannot receive what is meant for you while your hands are full of what is hurting you. Yet this is exactly what most people do. They hold tightly to old relationships, worn-out identities, expired opportunities, outdated dreams, and familiar habits simply because letting go feels uncomfortable. Humans cling to what they know, even when it drains them because the unknown feels frightening. But the universe cannot place blessings into hands that refuse to let go of what no longer belongs. Space must be created before anything new can enter. When you finally release something, truly release it, you send a powerful signal to the universe. You declare that you are ready for something higher, something healthier, something more aligned. This release is not just emotional, it is energetic. Every time you hold on to something that no longer fits your life, your energy becomes heavy, stagnant, and closed. The universe cannot send new opportunities into a closed system. But the moment you let go, the moment you stop clinging, stop repeating the same patterns, stop forcing the same connections, your energy expands. You open a doorway that was previously blocked. You create space for something new to arrive. Think about the times in your life when you lost something or someone you thought you couldn't live without. At first, it felt like everything was falling apart. You questioned the timing. You questioned the purpose. You questioned yourself. But later, sometimes months later, sometimes years, you realized that the loss was not destruction, but preparation. It was clearing. It was making room. It was removing something that was limiting your growth. And when the new opportunity, relationship, direction, or chapter arrived, you understood why the old one had to end. You would have never stepped into this higher version of life if the universe hadn't gently, or sometimes forcefully, taken away what was holding you down. The universe is always upgrading your life behind the scenes, but upgrades require space. You cannot fit new blessings into a life crowded with fear, resentment, old pain, or attachment to what is gone. When you hold on to the past, you delay your future. When you cling to temporary people, you block the arrival of permanent ones. When you refuse to release a chapter that has ended, you stay stuck in a story that no longer represents who you are becoming. Releasing does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending you were not hurt. It means accepting that some things are not meant to come with you into the next chapter of your life. It means trusting that the universe never removes anything without preparing something better. It means choosing growth over familiarity, alignment over fear, peace over chaos. And when you make that choice, life responds in ways you could never imagine. New people appear who match your energy instead of draining it. New opportunities arise that reflect your true potential. New ideas flow that inspire you. New levels of confidence awaken within you. New freedom begins to replace old fear. None of this happens by accident. It happens because you created the space for it. Sometimes the universe takes away what you want in order to give you what you need. You may want comfort, but the universe gives you growth. You may want someone to stay, but the universe knows they're blocking someone better from entering. You may want a plan to work, but the universe knows it would limit your potential. You may want certainty, but the universe wants your spirit to evolve. There are situations you cried over that you will later be thankful for. There are people you begged to stay that you will eventually thank for leaving. There are chapters you thought were the end of your life that will turn out to be the beginning of your transformation. This is how the universe works, not by giving you what your fear asks for, but by giving you what your soul quietly longs for. The replacement always comes. It may not come immediately. It may not look like what you expected. It may not arrive in the way your mind planned, but it always comes. And when it arrives, you will realize that the universe did not take anything from you. It cleared the path so something greater could find you. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is preparation. And what the universe prepares for you is always better than what you were trying so hard to keep. 6. Letting the universe decide doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you do the right things. One of the biggest misunderstandings people have about surrender, alignment, and letting the universe take the lead is the belief that it means you stop taking action. Many think allowing life to flow means sitting back, waiting passively, and hoping things magically fall into place. But this is not how alignment works. This is not how growth works. And this is certainly not how the universe works. Letting the universe decide for you does not mean abandoning responsibility or waiting for miracles to drop into your lap without effort. It means shifting from forced action to aligned action. Forced action is driven by fear, desperation, insecurity, and pressure. It is when you try to make something happen, even though your intuition is telling you not to. It is when you chase people who are walking away, push opportunities that feel stuck, or pressure yourself to choose a direction that doesn't sit right with your soul. Forced action drains you emotionally because you are acting from fear instead of clarity. You are running on anxiety instead of intuition. You are trying to control outcomes instead of understanding them. And the more you push from fear, the more resistance life gives back to you. Aligned action, on the other hand, feels different. It feels natural. It feels calm. It feels guided. You take steps, but the steps feel intelligent rather than chaotic. You move forward, but you are not frantic. You make decisions, but they come from your inner knowing rather than your inner panic. Aligned action is not about doing nothing. It is about doing what matches your truth, your timing, and your energy. It means you act when you feel called, not when you feel pressured. It means you say yes when your whole body agrees, not when your mind is filled with fear. It means you walk away when something repeatedly drains your spirit. When you let the universe decide, You stop wasting energy on things that aren't meant for you. You stop running behind situations that keep breaking. You stop fighting for things that never feel secure. And in that space, your energy rises, your mind clears, your intuition strengthens. And from this elevated state, you begin taking steps that make sense, steps that align with your growth, steps that move you toward the life that matches who you truly are. Letting the universe decide means you pay attention to the signals life sends. If something constantly feels heavy, you stop forcing it. If someone repeatedly hurts your energy, you stop investing in them. If a path keeps closing, you stop pushing against the door. You start living with wisdom instead of ego. You begin making choices not to control life, but to listen to it. This is not passive. This is deeply intelligent. Taking aligned action also means you show up for the things you can control. You work on your mindset. You heal your past. You strengthen your habits. You improve your skills. You stay open to opportunities. You remain honest with yourself. And you keep growing even when things are uncertain. You understand that the universe handles the direction, but you handle the readiness. You prepare your inner world so that when the universe opens a door, you are strong enough to walk through it. You don't sit and wait. You become someone who is prepared for what is coming. Letting the universe decide means you no longer chase timelines. You no longer panic when things take longer than expected. You trust that delays have purpose and detours have meaning. You stop trying to force life into the shape you think it should be, and instead you allow life to show you what shape it wants to take. You understand that the universe sees things you do not. People's intentions, hidden opportunities, upcoming challenges, energetic mismatches, and the exact timing that will benefit your growth. When you embrace this way of living, something changes inside you. You feel less chaos. You feel less urgency. You feel less anxiety. Instead, you begin feeling guided, supported, connected. You take steps, but you no longer feel like you're pushing a mountain. You move forward. But the path opens gently, instead of resisting you. You stop living through force and start living through flow. Letting the universe decide is not surrendering your power. It is stepping into a different kind of power. A power rooted in patience, intuition, clarity, and trust. A power that allows life to collaborate with you instead of working against you. A power that guides you toward the right opportunities instead of the easiest ones. A power that helps you move smarter, not harder. When you understand this, everything becomes simpler. You stop acting out of fear. You stop chasing things that aren't for you. You stop forcing broken pieces to fit. You stop exhausting yourself trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. And instead, you begin taking meaningful, aligned steps toward the life that is waiting for you, the life the universe has been preparing behind the scenes. You don't stop taking action. You start taking the right action. And that is where transformation begins. 7. The hidden shift begins the moment you stop demanding and start trusting. There comes a moment in every person's life when they have to decide what kind of relationship they want to have with the universe. One built on fear, control, demand, and resistance, or one built on trust, alignment, patience, and surrender. This moment is subtle. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or dramatic signs. It begins quietly inside your mind. The moment you realize that all your pushing has not brought you peace, all your controlling has not brought you clarity, and all your demanding has not brought you the fulfillment you were chasing. And when this realization dawns, something begins to soften inside you. You start to question whether the universe was actually against you, or whether you were simply blocking its guidance with your insistence on how life should unfold. This is where the hidden shift begins. Not outside you, but within you. It starts the moment you release the belief that everything must happen exactly the way you imagine. It starts when you stop insisting that every situation follows your script, that every person behaves according to your expectations, and that every outcome matches your timeline. It starts when you stop arguing with reality and begin accepting that life is wiser than your fears, more intelligent than your plans, and more patient than your impulses. When you stop demanding life to bend to your will, your inner world transforms. The noise in your mind begins to fade. The tension in your chest starts loosening. The constant pressure to fix everything right now slowly dissolves. You begin to feel a sense of spaciousness, a sense of lightness that you hadn't realized you were missing. You stop feeling like the world is heavy on your shoulders. You stop feeling like you're running out of time. You stop feeling like you're failing at life just because things are not moving as fast as you want. You shift from panic to presence. This internal shift is powerful because it opens the doorway to trust, and trust is the foundation of alignment. Trust is when you acknowledge that you cannot see every detail, but you move forward anyway. Trust is when you allow life to unfold without applying pressure to every moment. Trust is when you stop treating the universe like an enemy you must outthink and begin relating to it as a partner that is trying to guide you. Trust is when you replace fear-driven controlling with faith-driven allowing. And when trust rises within you, the universe responds. It always does. Because when you stop fighting the flow finally has room to carry you. The right opportunities start appearing without force. People who match your energy start entering your life effortlessly. Decisions become clearer because you're no longer drowning in fear-based thinking. Challenges feel lighter, not because they disappear, but because you stop interpreting everything as a crisis. You start understanding that not every delay is a disaster, not every rejection is a punishment, and not every ending is a failure. You begin to see the intelligence behind the unfolding of your life. This hidden shift also changes the way you interpret signs and synchronicities. You begin noticing patterns that were always there but invisible under the weight of your control. You notice how certain events align perfectly when you stop rushing. You notice how guidance shows up in conversations, in dreams, in intuition, in symbols, and in moments that feel too perfectly timed to be random. You notice how peace begins to replace anxiety the moment you choose trust over demand. When you stop demanding and start trusting, you release the belief that life owes you something. You realize that life has already been giving you everything you needed to grow. The challenges that strengthened you, the delays that protected you, the endings that transformed you, and the unexpected gifts that arrived when you least expected them. You begin to see that the universe was never punishing you, it was preparing you, it was shaping you, it was refining your path, and you were too busy controlling everything to recognize the blessings disguised as struggle. This shift also changes your relationship with yourself. You stop blaming yourself for the things that didn't work. You stop criticizing yourself for not knowing everything. You stop accusing yourself of being behind in life. Instead, you develop a kinder, deeper connection with your own journey. You understand that growth has no fixed schedule. Transformation has no fixed timeline. Healing has no fixed sequence. The universe unfolds everything at the pace your soul can handle. And finally, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel safe in uncertainty. You begin to trust the unseen. You begin to embrace the unknown with curiosity instead of fear. You stop needing to know everything because you start feeling supported by something bigger than your plans. You enter a state of flow where life feels lighter, more meaningful, and more aligned. This is the hidden shift. The moment you stop demanding and start trusting is the moment the universe finally steps in. It begins moving things behind the scenes. It begins aligning the right people, opportunities, conversations, and directions. It begins guiding you in ways you couldn't feel before because your resistance was too loud. The universe has always been ready to transform your life. It was just waiting for you to stop controlling long enough to receive the transformation. You spend so much of your life believing that control makes you safe, that planning every detail protects you, that forcing outcomes guarantees success. But the deeper truth, the one you discover only after years of pushing and struggling and exhausting yourself, is that control is the greatest illusion you've ever held. Life was never meant to be squeezed into the shape you imagined. It was meant to unfold, to evolve, to surprise you, to guide you into places your mind could not predict, but your soul quietly longed for. The universe has always been moving you towards certain experiences, certain people, certain lessons, certain awakenings, but you can only see this when you step back and allow life to show you its design. At some point, you must choose peace over pressure. You must choose flow over force. You must choose trust over fear. You must choose alignment over anxiety. And this choice is not a single moment. It is a way of living. It is remembering that you don't need to control every timeline for your life to unfold beautifully. You don't need to grip every situation for it to work in your favor. You don't need to chase what is meant to find you. You simply need to get out of your own way. When you stop controlling everything, the universe begins revealing everything, the meanings behind your delays, the purpose behind your losses, the protection behind closed doors, the wisdom behind your challenges, and the blessings waiting on the other side of your surrender. You stop moving through life like a soldier in battle and start moving like a soul in alignment. You stop fighting the current and begin flowing with it. You stop interpreting every setback as a failure and begin seeing it as repositioning. You stop seeing endings as punishments and begin recognizing them as gateways. And the most beautiful part is this: when you finally release your grip, the universe holds you in ways you never imagined. It guides you through intuition. It supports you through synchronicities. It strengthens you through clarity. It transforms you through growth. It aligns you with experiences that feel natural, peaceful, expansive, and right. You begin to live from the inside out instead of the outside in. Your decisions feel cleaner. Your relationships feel lighter. Your path feels clearer. Your mind feels quieter. You begin to trust the timing of your life. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to trust the unfolding. And in that trust, something profound happens. Your life finally begins to open. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. You allowed peace to replace panic. You allowed clarity to replace confusion. You allowed alignment to replace resistance. You allowed the universe to take the lead, and in doing so, you discovered that the life meant for you was always waiting just outside your fear. You don't rise by controlling everything. You rise by letting go. You rise by trusting your path. You rise by allowing life to carry you where your mind was too afraid to go. The universe has always been ready to guide you. Now, you are finally ready to listen.